Welcome back to Lepodcast episode 21. As always, you're here with Hoop, Saney, and the infamous ZZ Huncho. The NBA is back. Feels good to be a part of basketball forever. It's just a new feeling when we come to these recording sessions. I'd love to raise a toast to Z real quick. The Knicks absolutely beat down the Pistons Friday, 130 to 106. Not in the same league, Saney. Not in the same league.
I
And
was
you know
thinking
what's
about you.
what's crazy about all this stuff we're talking about on the podcast and all the takes I have to make is that I'm now finding myself rooting for someone every game, whatever fits my narrative. I like the Pistons, but I don't like them after Saney said that they have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Knicks. That's blasphemous. Isaiah Hartenstein, Emmanuel quickly, masterclass. The Pistons are still looking for a culture. God bless Cade Cunningham. Not ready. It's going to take them a couple of years. And Jaden Ivey's him. Like I'm a Pistons supporter in general, but because of the podcast, I'm public enemy number one. So
Stanley, how does that make you feel as a man?
It's 3 games into the season. You're going to tell me the Sixers are going to miss the playoffs because they lost their first 3? Like, come on. Come on.
let me victory lap.
Give him time. Give him time. Like, I remember the Knicks winning the home opener last year, the season opener, and what happened then? What happened last season? It's the first.
And Derrick Rose got hurt.
True.
Sure.
A fallen hero.
That's
He's
why.
back.
That's why.
With I'll be straight, like, as a Julius Randle supporter, and I believe he's the best player on the Knicks. Jalen Brunson. If anyone's going to be in the All-Star game, I think it's him. He has been incredible. Like,
Agreed.
no turnovers through 2 games. Never seen that before from a Knicks point guard. Julius is more efficient. RJ, he had a bad game 1, but he was much more efficient the next game. It's going to be just a different outlook. They're still not going to be contenders, but they're better than the Detroit
If
Pistons.
Jalen Brunson continues on the path that he's on right now, he is on pace. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but he's on pace to potentially pass John Starks as an all-time great Knick point guard. Like, it's insane, right?
I'll be honest, I didn't watch all that much John Starks, but I don't think
Me
that's
either,
that
but
impressive.
I know
I don't
for a
think it's
fact
that
that it's-
impressive.
I didn't watch a lick either, but I just know that if he continues this up for like 3 years, maybe 4, he might be ranked all time for Knicks fans.
Evan Fournier already leads the Knicks in 3-pointers made in a season, so I don't really care about Knicks records.
So Evan Fournier is one of the greatest three-point shooters in Knicks history.
That's what you're trying to tell me. Like, he's not better than Steve Novak. But one last thing before we get into the lineup, I just want to shout out Adam Silver because I decided to host like 9 fantasy basketball leagues that I didn't know I'd be hosting. I thought I was doing like 2 or 3. And then people started raining in. They're closed now, but feel free to join the chalkboard. You can still talk with us about ball. But it is hard. On draft night, there were like 3 leagues that would not start on time. And I turned my notifications off because my phone was blowing up with the amount of comments people were leaving and whatnot. And I had to like manually like fix 3 of the leagues while they're trying to draft. It was awful. All while trying to draft on my own. So Adam Silver, I don't know how you do it with, people getting paid that much money. He's, everything's run smoothly. So God bless Adam Silver. It's an impressive man right there. That's why he looks so old. That's why he ages. There's so much stress.
Probably, honestly, I can see it. He's like
a lot
Barack
of respect
Obama
for him now. But anyways, that was uncalled for. But today's lineup, we have the headlines: Trouble in Philly, Le GM, Smooth Jazz, Buy Sell Hold, and the Q&A.
It makes its return.
Starting off with the headlines, I don't know if you guys saw that Father Time commercial. It's been everywhere. I'd imagine you did. It's like some dude dressed up in a wizard costume facing off with LeBron, and like, they're lifting weights, they're running, they're like singing opera in one of them. I think the actor's actually the guy from the Aquaman movie, one of the worst movies of all time. Have you seen that?
I haven't watched Aquaman.
The Aquaman movie is actually awful. It's actually awful.
I've heard it's bad, and not just because Amber Heard's in it, but I've heard that it's very bad. Like,
it's actually.
You sat there and watched it?
Well, I was like sick. I was
okay.
But it was bad. And I think I might have been in the theater, so I wasn't sick. I'm sorry. I was forced to watch it one way or another. That's what I remember.
Okay.
But what I was trying to say was LeBron he's fighting Father Time. He's 25.5, 12.5, and 7 assists through 2 games with the Lakers. His team is going to make him age because that is a rough group to play with no spacing. Do you guys think that he could hold up to this LeBron James standard for greatness through this next season, or do you
Yes.
think he'll start to break down a little bit?
No breakdown. LeBron James gonna go close to
I
averaging 30 points a
agree.
game.
And I'm not
Run it back.
trying, obviously it's called the podcast, but I'm no LeBron super fan by any means.
Neither am I.
Same.
And
It's
I just think he's
shown
LeBron,
no
so.
indication.
Exactly.
If you did, like, for example, I can confidently say that I think Chris Paul will take a step back this season because we saw it in the playoffs. He kind of regressed a bit. We saw it last season. He's still a great player, just not as great. LeBron showed no indication of that. So there is no reason for me to, maybe this season we get that indication, but as of right now, I cannot make an assumption on someone else's body.
So at this point, when you look at the way that the Lakers are currently constructed, I mean, LeBron can go out there and afford to shoot as much as he wants to, as much as he sees fit. If it's about getting the win, LeBron can just be like, all right, if y'all don't want to win, I'm gonna try to win, and I'm gonna go out here and do my thing. And he has free range to do it still, with Anthony Davis, hopefully healthy as the season continues. But yeah, like he definitely, it's still LeBron and AD and everybody else.
I think LeBron's going to uphold that 25 point per game average that he has throughout. I'm pretty sure all of his career. Was it minus 1 year, his rookie year, they didn't do it? I think every year was 25 plus. But Anthony Davis definitely will. He really should be there to keep that efficiency up because I do think Father Time's going to catch up sometime. But I don't think it'll be this year. I am believing in Anthony Davis. I saw that one fall he had, like flat on his back. He got flipped upside down by someone, but he walked right back out, which means he definitely could have sat out the rest of the game. He's ready to fight through some stuff. So praying for him. But moving on to our first segment, there is some trouble rumbling in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, man. So obviously before the season started, if you took a look at their roster, you would think they're contenders. And we're not here to overreact. As of the time of this recording, they've only played 3 games. But they're 0-3. I'm going to shoot out some facts to you guys about Philly this season so far through their first 3 games, just to give you a little bit of insight for you and the viewers. Philly ranks 23rd in both defensive and offensive efficiency this season. So they have not been great on both ends, which should not be the case. Offensively, they should be a huge threat especially with the pieces they've added, and defensively
too.
Defensively as well. I was just gonna mention that the fact that they're not in at least the top 15 to the first 3 games is, I think, a Doc Rivers problem, if I'm being honest. But let's also talk about the fact that this offseason they signed a lot of guys that cater more to Harden's game rather than catering to Embiid's game, which kind of gives me an indication that Doc Rivers had this idea where he was going to put more of the offensive load on Harden rather than Joel Embiid. I don't think that's the route they should take. But all their games have been lost by single digits. The max they've lost by is 9 points. I think they lost by 9 twice, and they lost by 2 one game against the Bucks. But that tells me they're not able to capitalize down the stretch. They're not able to close out games. That's not a great sign you want to see from a team, especially when your 2 superstars are free throw merchants. But obviously it's too early to overreact, But if they keep this play up, like honestly, like if we see the same Philly team through like the first 15 games, I'm gonna take them out of my contending argument. I don't see them as a contender in the East if they're going to keep up this play. Not saying they will, but I think a big issue with Philadelphia, and if you watch the games...
You said your marker was through 15 games?
Not where I count them out, but when I put other teams in the East over them if they were to match up against them. Only because, and again, I still think they're a playoff team. I still think they're a threat when the playoff time comes. But if they go through like 15 games and they still keep that same like play style that they're having, from me, that's like, as the GM, I'm like, I got to fire Doc Rivers. Because something's not working in Philly right now, and if they don't change something about it, because the beginning of the season is crucial. Like, you have to be up to par. You got to be playing good. Doc Rivers clearly, I mean, it's kind of obvious at this point that he is the most overrated coach in NBA history, let's be honest.
Hold on. So Doc Rivers, I agree, is not a coach you want to have going into, not only even the playoffs, just the regular, like, you don't want to have Doc Rivers as your head coach. But we'll do a tiny bit of trivia right now. When James Harden was with the Rockets, he was flourishing with Mike D'Antoni. What was their offense called in general? Like, there's a term for it. or with Nash, it was that
7 seconds or not.
7
or
seconds.
less.
Yeah, 7 seconds. Or
7
less.
seconds or less offense, right? Just fast pace, move the ball, a lot of
Right.
shots. Guess what the Philadelphia 76ers pace ranks at right now in the NBA?
30th.
Z?
28th.
30.
Yeah.
Dead last.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
slow. They're slow.
Their offense has no rhythm. James Harden will penetrate. He'll look for shooters. No one's open. Then someone will foul bait. They have no offensive rhythm whatsoever. And on defense, Joel Embiid looks super sluggish.
Okay.
I know
you're
if you
right.
look at Joel's stats, he's putting up what, like 27, 13 through
Yeah.
3 games.
But those are
it's-
empty to me.
he's
Those are
not,
empty.
He's,
Mhm,
those are
exactly.
empty to me. Those are empty
Those
to
are
me.
empty
He
to me.
looks awful.
And I've watched
And that's
every
someone-
Philly game so far. I've watched every Philly game so
Same.
far.
Yes.
Same.
He looked. I picked him to win MVP, but he looks awful.
I also picked him to win MVP, and through 3 games so far, I have seen James Harden, I've seen Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. That big 3 in Philly is the big 3 that I looked at going into the season, and I was like, you know what? This is the 3 that I think if they can gel the right way and the offense is being able to flow and all these things, they're going to be great. If you looked at that big 3 through the first 3 games, Tyrese Maxey's literally averaging 20, which is on average of what he did last year. James Harden's averaging 26 on way better shooting from the field, 46%. 9 assists and 8 rebounds. Joel Embiid, 27 and 13. But like Sandy just said, empty damn stats.
It's
They're
crazy.
Empty. And you would think that their starting lineup, right? James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid. You got PJ to shoot those corner threes and play astounding defense and hustle and hustle and hustle. Tobias Harris is literally what J. Cole wants to be as a basketball player, but just living the full experience. He's playing well, catching and shooting. Like, who doesn't love Tobias Harris? The fact that Tobias Harris is now a 4th option on this Philly team.
What does he do?
He could clearly be a number 3 option, maybe on another contender, right? You put him on offensively. I'm speaking. You could put him with a team of 2, right? Shoot, put him in Phoenix. Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, and Tobias Harris as your 3rd option. Right, somebody who's been proven to put the ball in the basket and be able to play his role, which is an important role in terms of when you look at his efficiency and his scoring and his production. So it's just like, I don't know, Philly just looks like a mess, and I agree. The only person that I can point the finger to is Doc, because like, how the hell is this not working in 3 games and you just lost to the freaking Spurs, Keldon Johnson.
The only
Poeltl. You lost to all of them, bro. Come on now. You lost to Greg.
He lost to a board game. Jakob
Exactly.
Perl. The only reason I'm not going to pin this on Doc yet is because Embiid looks slow. I don't know if he's out of shape, because I know we've seen that from guys like Luka before. I think Embiid last season too, he started off real slow. So I don't know if it's a probably specifically defensively. I'm not going to pin that on Doc because they have a lot of great individual defenders. I'd be surprised if a professional basketball coach cannot come up with a decent defensive scheme. I'm going to pin it a lot on the players for now. But when you look at James Harden, to benefit him offensively, you play fast. Great playmaker, transition, good shooter, transition, like just the whole deal. Tyrese Maxey's one of the fastest guys in the league.
Exactly.
Why are you going to use him in a half-court set? I mean, he's nice, but like there's no reason to play this you go, I go, Tobias. Like Tobias, first off, solid player. I don't think he should be on the offense. They should put another plug like a PJ Tucker 3-and-D guy, because Tobias doesn't play much defense. I'd rather Maxey get more touches.
I don't think Tobias should be on that team in general.
I agree, but I'm saying like if you're gonna have them out there, like you kind of need to use. I don't want this. Harden gets an ISO, Embiid foul baits, Maxey gets a drive, puts up a tough. Like it's just you need to play with some sort of flow. They have as much rhythm as a white woman in a gospel church right now.
Tell them again.
Awful.
Hallelujah.
It's awful.
Hallelujah. And guess what? We've been trusting the process since 2016, and all it showed us is inconsistencies and Doc Rivers.
They were better with Ben.
They were better with Ben.
The process left when Sam Hinkie left. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's preaching the Philly truth.
Yes, unfortunately, we all ain't from Philly, but I know if you are from Philly, like
I know how they feel about Sam Hinkie.
I don't know. I don't know, but y'all got to get it together. It's got to be something. You got guys like Tyrese Maxey, like you said, he's one of the fastest guys in the league, and Tyrese Maxey is so freaking tough as well. But they got Tyrese Maxey out there running like wide receiver routes in fast break transitions. They got him looking like Tyreek Hill. I swear to God, the past 3 games I've seen multiple possessions where James Harden's dribbling the ball up the court, and I'm like, all right, James got it 1-on-1. And then all of a sudden, you see
little
Tyrese
post to
Maxey
Tyrese.
and he's throwing he's telegraphing the hell out of these passes. And Tyrese Maxey's just zoom. I'm like, dang, bro, can he just let him he didn't get warmed up yet? He's just shooting 3 straight layups. Like, come on.
And the one thing I will say, because Harden's been great, he's been a bright spot. The one thing I mentioned in a video of mine is that he's not attacking downhill, and it's tough because in Harden's case, if he shoots the ball, people don't like him. They want him to pass. If he passes the ball, people want him to shoot. Oh man, you're an all-time great scorer. Shoot the ball. It needs to be a balance. And while I do like the fact that he's capitalizing on mismatches on the perimeter, for example, the first game he had Al Horford on an island. That's when you're going to ISO with James Harden. Yeah. I'd rather him take the ball and try to get around people because he showed in the first game he did it. He did it around Grant Williams. That's a premier defender. I'd rather him do that than put people on an island all game and do the step back. I like the step back when it's a mismatch. And if he's failing it, go for it. But I think these Harden possessions need to be, more towards getting to the basket because that's when you get easier buckets with a rebounder like Joel Embiid. If Harden brings over a big to give help, they're going to go up with a contest. Even if he misses, just putting it up on the rim, Joel Embiid right there. And that's his job as an MVP candidate. I think that offense is too good to be this bad, and their defense is too good to be this bad. It's awful.
Tell me why. Also, why are Harden and Embiid not the biggest pick and roll threat in the league right now?
Dude, I was literally just about to say that. I was just about to say that.
I don't know if anybody else noticed from watching the Philly games when they run a pick and roll. It's
a pick and stop.
It was not as. It was always to be fair to Harden, especially in that Bucks game, he was lights out from the mid range, especially in the fourth.
Joel is low key looking soft. I'm not gonna lie.
Joel is looking soft. He's looking soft.
Anthony Davis. He's turning into Anthony Davis.
But I mean, it's only 3 games. So let's not overreact.
It is 3 games. I'm just gonna say this finally as ZZ Huncho's closer. It's just Joel Embiid. Like you said, with the pick and roll, you would have thought that Joel and James Harden, when the moment that they got put together, that's the first thing I thought of was a pick and roll of James Harden and Joel Embiid. When James,
and then you got shooters out there, PJ and Tobias.
You got PJ, you got Tobias, you got
a Cutter, Tyrese,
You got everything you want. And you sit back and you watch these 3 games, and I'm literally watching them do a pick and roll, and then Joel Embiid will literally stop at the free throw line. And then the defense is like, is he going to come in? Nope, he's going to stay there. And James is giving it to him. He's going to pull that mid-range or foul bait. They're still foul baiting. The difference is that the foul baiting is starting to come back and bite them in the ass because they're losing these games by single digits. And it's like, well, dang, if you had went up and just thought about just actually going for the bucket instead of just looking for the foul, then y'all wouldn't be in this predicament. But, it's just boneheaded decision after boneheaded decision.
And you know what's crazy? One more thing for the viewers. Next time you're watching Philly play, I don't care who they're playing because he does it every game. When Joel Embiid gets the ball in the mid-range, whether it's a feed in from Harden from the perimeter or it's on a pick and roll, look how many times he'll face up rather than back down. No matter how small a defender is, because every game of Joel Embiid I've watched this year, it's 90% face up from the mid-range.
Yep.
One thing when 30 feet from the basket, of course. But when he's that big, you should be bullying other bigs. He's Joel Embiid. But, maybe he knows something I don't know. That is just something else.
If Charles Barkley could do it off of Krispy Kreme donuts and being 6'7", I just feel like Joel Embiid is an African Thundercat. He should be able to body, throw bodies, all of that. Bodies. That's what I'm trying to see from Joel Embiid. Not mid-range bricks. I'm coming for the sweep. I need to see all of that, bro. It's only been 3 games. I get it, but damn, come on, please.
Yeah, he looks like a completely different player from the playoffs last year. He was better in the playoffs last year, even with that busted face.
He literally was Iron Man in the playoffs last year. He had busted face, busted arm. Come on, man.
Can we move on to the next segment?
Please. What's the next one? Is it LeGM?
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for this show. The Lakers are currently sitting at a smooth 0-2. And the man on the hot seat throughout the first 2 games has been none other than our favorite point guard, Russell Westbrook. Our favorite point guard, Russell Westbrook, who through 2 games is averaging 10.5 points per game, 7 boards, which is still, Russ, 3 assists, which is and he's shooting 11% from 3. I want to reiterate, he's shooting 11.1% from 3 and 30% from the field. So the Lakers essentially are on the hot seat themselves as well because we've been talking about the trading, the first-round picks, the 2027 first-round picks. They don't want to give them up for Russ and to send him out of the way. But they need to. So my question to you guys is, if you are the Los Angeles Lakers, Saini, you're a Russell Westbrook enthusiast, so I want you to go first. What are you doing in this situation?
I mean, just to take a step back on what you said about his percentages. First of all, the 3-point percentage, he's only shot 9 threes and made one of them. And if you watch the games, I'm not too stressed about the 3-point percentage as of right now. Obviously, he's shown to be a bad 3-point shooter, but to say 11.1%,
do the misses look good?
No, but I mean, like,
No,
it's like
no, no.
down
It's
the
just
shot
the
clock.
fact that you
It's just
said
like
that.
no,
You're like,
but
no,
I
if
mean,
you're
like,
watching the games, you can.
no, but
you
I
can
mean, like, it's like
tell
last
it's
second shot clock type shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
not like when he's like he's 1 for 2 on like standing still threes, like where it's like an actual open look. It's like a good shot. 1 for 9. It's like it's not. Don't say 11.1%. Like it's like because that makes it sound way worse than it is.
Let me actually give the viewers a little perspective. Okay, so there was one Laker play in particular that I saw. It was
See,
against the Warriors on opening
it
night.
toilet bowl around the rim. It wasn't like an air ball.
No. There was this one play. And I remember I was watching it with my boys. We were sitting there, and we all were like, you know what? You know what's funny about the NBA is watching the Lakers, because when they look like they want to figure out how to score, they kind of do things where they're just like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. There was one play in particular. Anthony Davis had missed a shot, right? But not before. LeBron had previously missed his shot. So AD had got the rebound. Then AD gets the rebound, and then he shoots it again, misses. Then the ball somehow ends up in Russell Westbrook's hands with a new 24, a new shot clock. And Russell Westbrook shot that thing from the corner, and it airballed. It literally airballed. And we're sitting here like, we can predict this. Like, they're so predictable. And it's hilarious. So it's not, I'm saying 11%, as in like it's Russell Westbrook, so you can honestly just have a bunch of thoughts in your head as to how he got to 11%. And most of those thoughts are him completely missing the rim, or hitting the backboard, or shooting something stupid. So Russ's shot selection is bad. Let's just start there. And from there, what do we do now? Do we get rid of him, Saney, or do we try and bring him in off the bench, or tell him to stop? Like, what do we do? What do we do?
I think it's obvious that you get rid of Westbrook. I'm not against the fact that the Lakers trading Westbrook. I think their 2027 first round pick means nothing to them anyway, because like what's that really going to bring you in the future, considering the fact that you've already invested into Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and that would be a waste. Like you getting rid of Kuz and Lonzo and Brandon Ingram and your whole future and all those guys. Like, I mean, I get they got a ring out of it, but you can get more. And if you don't take that opportunity, then you still fell short. I don't care. Like, the Lakers were supposed to be not a dynasty, but they should have been contending every year since Anthony Davis came in. They haven't. So I do think that Russ should be traded. I think he should be traded to the Pacers. I think they need to pull the trigger as soon as possible for Buddy and Miles. I think the Pacers should also do it, because that gives them more reason to be losing games, and that avoids their punishment from Adam Silver. Because if they got rid of Buddy and Miles, clearly they're not a great team. Those are like the two bright spots along with Jalen Smith and Benedict. I know they're nice, but rookies can't win games.
Whoa.
What? Trey Benedict.
What are the bright spots on the Pacers? There's one you're missing.
I said Jalen Smith,
Tyrese
Benedict.
Halliburton.
Oh, Tyrese Halliburton, of course.
Tyrese Halliburton!
Of course.
Yo!
Tyrese Halliburton.
Yo!
I wasn't saying they were the only bright spots. I was just giving examples. I was like, you do have rookie. I was talking like rookies, man. I was talking like rookies. Chill.
All I'm saying, Russ
Tyrese is a bucket.
Backcourt would go nuts. That would go nuts. Just saying, because I know Russ would ball in Indiana.
Anyway,
can I go on a little of Russ monologue, because I don't know. I've gone two ways with Russ. It's bipolar in that you want to defend him when he plays bad because he's in a bad situation, but at the same time he's awful. So the way I want to put it is Russ is playing some of the worst basketball I've ever seen in my life. But with that being said, the criticisms on him are not that he's playing awful, because, you know, he's playing decent defense. He's just shooting horribly. He's not a good spacer, you know, whatever it is. It's because of the money he's making. You're getting paid $50 million to do that, to get 2 points on 0 for 11 shooting. My response to that is he got paid that contract from Oklahoma. This is not Houston. This is not Washington. Back in Oklahoma, where it was, you know, the money was rising each year. They were expecting, they paid him like a top point guard, which he was. So he goes to those different places. They cater to him, you know, with Harden. It turned out to be a decent fit. It didn't work out, but he played well. Wizards balled out. You know, the team just didn't have enough. So then he comes to LA, still on that same contract. So the Lakers are willing to pick that up. And by doing so, you'd think they'd cater to Russ. Oh, we're paying him this much money. We're going to give him what he needs to succeed. But instead of giving him the shooters and the spacing he needs to be Russell Westbrook, they're making him a spot-up shooter for LeBron James. What do you expect? What do you expect out of Russell Westbrook? We know he cannot shoot. So why are you making him the shooter?
y'all, if Hoop and Saney, if we were all NBA point guards right now, right? So
Rob
say
Pelinka is a bozo.
say we're
I'm being
playing
straight up. Rob Pelinka is a bozo.
Say we're playing for the. Say
I
we're
don't,
playing
you
for
know,
the
I don't like the
Lakers.
way whenever they pan him over on the sideline, he got that slick back hair, that suit. He just looks rich. He's awful.
We know
He's
you're
awful.
trying to be. He's trying
Rob
to be Pat
Pelinka
Riley. He's
is
trying
a
to be Pat
bozo.
Riley. You're a bozo,
Facts.
Rob. You're a bozo. You will
I
never be Pat Riley.
I
You will
can't
never have the
believe they
Showtime
extended
Lakers.
him. I
They
can't
did.
believe that Genie
Mr.
Butler
Mr.
definitely got
Pelinka,
the-
if there's ever an opportunity with the Lakers in a position, just remember that Saney Tate did not say one word ill about you. This is all Hoopology and ZZ Huncho. I have
It is. Let me
I
tell you
am-
something, Rob. Let me tell you something, Rob.
I know, bro.
In the
he
same
looks like the type of
vein,
dude to get a spray tan.
in
Real
the-
talk. Real talk. If you look at him, he just looks like some greasy dude.
you look
He's
like
awful.
the greased up deaf guy from Family Guy. That's what he is. That's what he is. In a suit that's just rich, filthy rich, and doesn't know how to freaking move Russell Westbrook. My thing is, if we were all point guards on the Los Angeles Lakers, and say like we had bags, like handle bags, like we could facilitate and shoot low key, right? So like we're bringing the ball up the court, and I'm just gonna put myself in this vision now. So ZZ Huncho's bringing the ball up the court, right? I'm looking up the court. I see Steph Curry guarding me, right? And then I'm like, all right, well, I see the double coming, so let me try to swing this. But then I look to my right and I see Russell Westbrook, right? As a matter of fact, let me rephrase that. I look to my right and I see Patrick Beverly. And then I'm like, all right, no, I don't want to pass that. Let me look to my left. And I see Russell Westbrook. What do you expect me to do, Rob? What am I going to do? I would quit. I would literally give up my hoop dreams and try my hardest to do like lacrosse or golf or something. I need something that's stress-free. You mean to tell me I got to be a point guard and you're giving me Russell Westbrook shooting and Patrick Beverly shooting? And if I give Patrick Beverly the ball, the freaking coach, Darvin Ham, is sitting there like, all right, well, if you can't do anything, Pat Bev, I guess isolation. No, we do not need a Patrick Beverly isolation in 2023. No, that is wrong. I hate my life. Yeah.
That Pat Bev stray was nuts. He's a decent shooter too. That is crazy.
But you mean to tell what your season's on the line? Who Patrick Beverly's playing? Your season's
I
on
look
the
to my left, I see Russell Westbrook. To my right, I see Patrick Beverly. I'm gonna just hold the ball.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Nothing. I can't do anything. Come on,
And
Rob.
what's even worse about the game he went 0 for 11 is I saw the two guys they have that are supposed to be decent shooters. Well, first off, Kendrick Nunn was 0 for 4. I get that. Reeves played 22 minutes, had 1 3-pointer taken. That is horrible. And the other guy, Matt Thomas, he hit 1 out of 2. Feed him if you're trying to shoot. Like
Who is
I don't
Matt
know what the
Thomas?
point is.
Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan. My apologies.
Matt Ryan.
Matt
We
Ryan.
got Matt Ryan in the
Matt
NBA.
Thomas
Matt-
sounds like
Matty,
the fakest name. Like it sounds like a name you just come up with on the spot if you're like trying to.
Real
come up with
talk. Real talk. I think there is a Matt Thomas in the NBA.
Oh
I
my
think he's a
God.
really good shooter too.
No way.
Hey Matt, if you're watching this,
Matt,
we love you.
Matt Thomas.
No
yes,
way.
I knew it.
No
No,
way.
because I got that name from somewhere. He's not
Who he play
Chicago.
for? Who he play for?
Wait,
Oh.
is he in? He might have retired. He's not in Chicago
Damn it.
this year.
He ain't retired. Look at his age.
Last year he was shooting what from 3? 38%. Career 40-point shooter from 3. He's a shooter.
Give me
Matt
Matt.
Thomas.
Give me Matt Damon. Give me Matt Damon. I'll take him. I mean Thomas. Damn it.
All right.
I'm Thomas.
Is there anything else to say about?
No,
Russell
I think we
Westbrook?
covered it. We gotta ship him.
Get him out of there. All right,
Nah.
man.
But real talk, yes, they should pull the trigger on Buddy and Miles.
Yeah.
But it's the Lakers' fault. It's Russ is a bad shooter, and you think he would get better, but at the same time, you're paying for someone in their prime, which is what the Thunder did, a top-tier point guard. You knew what he was capable of. You knew what he wasn't capable of. They paid for it, and the Lakers were like, "Oh yeah, we'll throw him next to LeBron James, make him a spot-up shooter, something he's not," and that did not work. So, Rob's an idiot. Really. Shout out to Rob's family. You know, no hard words, but
No
he is-
disrespect,
he is
but
awful.
he is greasy.
No, continue before the wife gets brought up. Continue into the next segment.
No, you didn't
Continue.
even. Why did you need to say that?
Because the
I wasn't
family,
even gonna go
from
there.
Rob to the family, you already know who's coming next. Next segment.
Yeah, well now you got me
Alright,
intrigued,
alright.
so let's keep moving, please.
Smooth jazz.
Yes, sir.
You like jazz?
Yeah, like yeah, like yeah. All right. Let's talk about the NBA and the number 1 draft prospect coming in. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama. Everybody wants him. Everybody wants a piece of him, and the only way you're gonna get him is if you're gonna lose. So the fancy term for that is tanking. And there are a lot of tanking NBA teams this season. There are a lot of teams that want to lose. Adam Silver has come out, and obviously the NBA and Adam Silver know about these teams trying to tank, and they're concerned by it, and they're looking for more solutions to prevent it. For example, they've already reduced the percent odds in the draft lottery if you're the last team. Before, it used to be you have a 25% chance at getting the first pick if you're the worst team. Now it's 14%. Now it's a lot more even for the bottom teams. They're looking for more solutions to prevent it. And then you also have teams like the Jazz, who going into the season, you're thinking, oh, they're going to be the worst team in the league. They have nobody. They're garbage. They're going to get rid of everybody. And then they go and win their first 2 games. And they were good games. They beat the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Like, they played against some good teams. So, at this point, it's like, if they start to purposely lose or if they drop off randomly, it's going to be obvious that they're trying to tank. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to pull off tanking without looking obvious. So, my question to you guys is, what do you guys think the penalty for purposely tanking should be? I can give you a little bit of an example. Maybe a fine, a loss of a draft pick, whatever. But if you guys were Adam Silver and you guys see this many teams trying to tank for Victor, what is your punishment if you catch them red-handed? They're tanking.
Well, so I saw, I think it was Woj saying that Victor, having him on your basketball team can raise the value of that team up to $500 million. I don't know if that was just a speculation or like a projection, but I don't think a fine is going to work. What I would say is whatever qualifies you for being caught for tanking, your draft odds should be like either taken down significantly for the lottery, depending on your position. For example, if it's like 13% for the bottom 4, like it should be down to like 1 or 2, or you pick swap with someone from the middle of the pack. Whoever's out of that lottery, you get swapped with another team. Let's say the Knicks. Like they should give a team that's trying to like the Wizards, the Wizards, the Knicks, the Blazers. They should go Wembanyama.
The issue is with that is that you're rewarding another team randomly for another team's for another team's punishment. I don't like that because what if let's say you had the Wizards blows. Oh, then that's an amazing rule, and I back that. No, I'm joking. But listen, let's be honest. Let's talk from an unbiased standpoint. Let's say you have, like you said, the Wizards, Blazers, and Knicks. They're all gonna try and fight for a playoff spot, right? Like they're not gonna tank. It'd be ridiculous.
Well, what if it's another randomizer?
But I'm just saying. But imagine like the Wizards, Knicks, and the Blazers are all in the exact same position, but only one of them gets Victor because another team decided to screw around.
So they should raise the odds of everyone else in the lottery and lower that one.
I think that is the right idea. I think depending for every game you tank, you lose 1%. Imagine. No, but I do like the draft. I do like for example, let's say the Pistons were the worst team, just random. No, they're gonna be better than the Knicks. The Knicks were the worst team in the league, and they had 14% chance to get the number 1 pick, and they get caught tanking. That now goes to like 10%, and that 4% gets spread out to like the top 5. So each team in the top 5 gets 1% now. I like that.
I just want to say, just a quick disclaimer for all my Washington Commanders fans out there. We beat the Packers 23-21. Just got the notification. Yes, sir. Moving forward. Back to this. Yeah, I completely agree. I like the pick swap idea. I kind of do because I kind of look at it from a perspective of like, okay, so if the rules are set in place, right, every team is going to know what the rules are. This is kind of how I look at it every time a team gets caught tampering. Like, I'm just like, you know what the rules and regulations are. If you get caught red-handed, then you're going to be a meme for like a week, and we're going to clown you, and that's just what it is, and you're going to get punished. Usually they give them hefty fines or whatever the case may be. But if you're a team that knows the rules and you didn't break them, and you're kind of sitting back and you're a GM and you're like, all right, well, we know that this team is worse than us, so we just going to bank on them potentially being desperate. And then, hey, if Victor Wembanyama, if I'm the GM of the OKC Thunder and Wembanyama comes my way and we've been chilling with Giddey and Shea and Chet developing and all that stuff, we're chilling. Hey, man, we didn't break the rules. We'll gladly take them. I know you would, Zany. I know you would. I would too. It's just it's the way that the league is. I feel like they're trying to set in all these rules and regulations, but we know for a fact there are some. We act like we don't know there ain't some shady GMs. There ain't some shady front office people.
I just don't like the idea. I just don't like the idea that only one NBA team gets rewarded for another team's discipline. I think the draft lottery odds makes way more sense because this way every team that's in that same position gets I was gonna say constipated. Gets gets awarded.
Right now,
no, I was trying, what's the word? Gets compensated.
Accommodated.
Compensated, not
Yeah.
constipated. Every team gets
Everybody gets constipated.
everybody gets compensated the same, rather than one team just get the whole bag and the other teams are just like, all right, well, we're still in the same position. This sucks.
I feel
So
you.
if we're ready to move on, can I just say the one thing because we're talking about word mishaps? Z, I tried to tell you the last time where we talked or recorded when you say I'm going to preference something, it's preface.
I think I've said that half the time, and the other time I say preference. I think I split
Well,
it.
I'm saying like I wanna keep you from.
You
the
said
masses.
it's preface, right? It's preface.
It's preface.
Preface. Okay. Pause for the Honorable ZZ Huncho as he takes the honorable sip, and then we'll worry about preface another day. I just want to say this before we move along. A few episodes back, I believe it was when we had Spawn Hour on. These two idiots decided to give me the willpower to introduce a segment that we call it, I think, the Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah.
So
And,
did you just call us idiots for giving you a segment? to host?
No, you're not idiots for giving me the segments. As a matter of fact, you're honorable men. But the way in which we went about it after the fact is where the idiocy comes into play. If that's the right word, I really don't care. I listed 11 teams, 1 to 11. Who was my number 1? The Warriors. Who was my 11? The Jazz. And now I'm sitting back and I'm like, hey, bro, the Jazz are currently undefeated. They're currently
he's gonna
games.
victory
They're
lap
currently,
Two
now.
games. I actually
They're
can't wait to
currently,
talk to you in like.
they're currently a top
I'm gonna
team
talk
in
to
the
you
West.
at the All-Star break, and we're gonna see where they're at.
As a matter of fact, they're a top team in the league.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be in
Let's place a
Utah,
little.
too.
No. Let's have a little bet for
Maybe.
this thing. The Jazz will not be in the play-in by the All-Star game. Like the seeding, they will not be near 10th.
You see, the
Well,
way ZZ Huncho goes about this is it's manifestation, all right? And I manifested in the comments. I literally said, I'm just hoping that they make the playoffs. And they go out there and they beat the reigning MVP, bro. I mean,
Can you manifest the Knicks?
I will dye my beard blonde if the Jazz are within the play-in by the time the All-Star break comes. So if they're the 10th seed or above, I will dye my beard blonde.
Okay.
I am saying that right now.
I'm
Clip it.
game.
Clip it, do
I'm
whatever you
game.
want. My beard will be blonde. That's how confident I am that this will not. You think Danny Ainge is looking at Victor and telling them to keep winning? Come on.
They're gonna.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Hey,
put.
he better be doing that.
They're gonna put COVID in a bottle and expose it to the locker room
Yeah.
before they win more games.
Nah, Danny's gonna go up and cough on
Real
his hand,
talk.
then shake everyone's hand in the locker room. Like before he goes in, he's gonna be like, "Good game,
Colin
good game,
Sexton
Colin.
will have
Good
some
game, Laurie
sort of-
Markkinen." And like the
some
trash,
sort of
the
virus.
trash players won't get a handshake. They'll get like a fist bump, so he doesn't give it to them.
They're gonna send a team plane to Atlanta when they're playing in Utah. Like it's.
Oh
it's,
my God.
It's gonna be that.
Oh
bad.
no, I went to the wrong place. Danny Ainge like gets out, acts clueless. He's
They
like,
got
"Whoa!"
Cologne Sexton.
Literally die. Oh my
Laurie
God.
Markkanen. Some tall blonde
Jordan
dude.
Clark, man. Like there's just a bunch of like different.
Jordan Clark, father.
Colin Farrell. Nah, Colin Sexton.
the mascot's like lacing up, like getting ready. Like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
they still end up winning the game. All right, let's continue.
We love you, Jazz fans.
They're gonna give the cheerleaders some haircuts, throw them out
Oh
there.
my God.
But well, I gotta collect myself. But for our next segment, we have a little game that I came up with called Buy, Sell, or Hold. We're gonna act like NBA players are stocks. If you know anything about stocks, it's good to buy when they're priced low, and good to sell when they're priced high. If you like the trajectory and you think they're gonna go higher, you want to keep it and then eventually sell it. We'll do, that's why I'll say hold. But basically, in this scenario, you'd want to buy someone if they're playing poorly and you think they'll play better. You'd want to sell someone if they're playing amazing, you don't think they're going to keep it up. And hold if you think they're the truth. So starting off, we have buy, sell, or hold John Morant. Through 3 games, he's 34-7-3 on 54, 57, 84. Not saying he would keep this up in order for it to be a hold, but will he continue to play at an MVP type level?
Bye.
Buying John Morant.
Bye.
Buy-in. He's a reincarnation of Derrick Rose. Been saying
I
Yeah,
think
that's the only
I'm
thing is the
buying
health.
too.
It's the health. Like, what if he lands awkwardly on one of these jumps? That's my only thing. But if we're assuming
Yeah,
healthy, then buy. Like, if he, like, I
All right.
think if he's healthy, he's playing at this level for the whole season.
I think I'm gonna buy in too. I mean, I'm now a super Ja fan because I've seen. It's not the fact that people think Trae Young's better. I have no problem with that. But I had an argument with someone last night. Not gonna say his name, but he's one of my boys. But he said, well, first off, he had Ja ranked as the ninth best point guard this year. So I told him I was like, that's ridiculous. I don't want to
Ninth.
say it. No, I see he's had him ninth. I don't want to say his name. Great dude. But
Great dude.
I told him in the comments, I was like, after his playoff performance last year, I think it's kind of harsh. I understand like the playmaking, he's a little sloppy at times, but he's like, Trae Young is better at basketball in every sense of the word. Like you can't give a basketball reason as to why John Morant's better. And if you look at it, Trae's a better perimeter scorer. Better. You could say he's a better playmaker for sure. They're both horrible defenders. But then I brought up playoffs because Trae, for his career, I think shoots 39%.
Yeah, he's
However many playoff games. Awful against the Heat. And I don't want to pin it against him too much. When you're comparing him to John Morant, Ja raises his performance to a near triple-double average as he's been in the playoffs so far. And I know Ja is someone, he's going to get picked on a lot because he's someone who attacks the rim and he's not exactly the headiest point guard. It feels like sometimes he'll just go in there and try to make something happen. A lot of times it does happen, but you need to take that into account. Like when he's dropping, this is the playoffs last season, 27, 10, and 8 on what's the shooting? 44, 34. Like for that kind of volume with the Grizzlies team, like that is nuts. And against the Warriors in the 3 games he played, because he was injured for a few of them, it was like 34, 9, 7 on like 55, 45, and with like 3 steals as an average through 3 games. So for the sense of defending Ja, I'm gonna buy him here because he is such a dog.
he's
Every sense of the word. Every
Hemsky.
sense of the word, he's a dog.
He's the
So,
D-O and the G. Don't get it confused, twisted, or misconstrued.
it's like Pat Beverly with teeth, right, Z?
Right. Pat Pitbull with teeth. Yeah. Now, I think that the Ja and
Pat
Trae
Bev, a dog with no gums.
Pat is a dog without a leash. That's what he is. He's just a dog without a leash. He might bite other dogs like Russell Westbrook. That's what it is.
He chipped his tooth trying to bite on like an iron pole. That's what it was.
Yo, that's why Patrick Beverly is a national treasure. That's why he's a
trying to
national
shoot
treasure.
on a fence.
Literally.
Yes.
Patrick, if you think you put Patrick Beverly in the doghouse, he gonna find a way out the doghouse and put you back in it. That's what he's gonna do. I think that the Trae and the Ja comparisons, like people are just trying. I think it's more hate filled to Ja and biased hate towards Ja.
I agree.
Because
like,
you got to think about it, like
corny
bro,
and the
you mean to
gritty
tell
and
me
whatever.
if anybody was gonna tell me if I'm because I would take Ja over Trae, right? So if anybody was in my comment section telling me that Trae Young was better and that they were hating on Ja in the process, right? Like, oh, he's zesty, gritty, like whatever. Trae Young and Ja Morant is who we're literally analyzing right now. Trae, the dirty lollipop, New York's biggest menace, and Ja Morant,
All due
the
respect,
internet's biggest menace.
even in those those playoff moments,
Right.
it's against the New York Knicks.
Right.
If you're gonna be a villain to anyone, it's the least impressive against the New York
people are the thing that
Come on
the
now.
people are trying to turn Ja into a villain. And honestly, I feel like if you take Dylan Brooks off that team, you're going to look at Ja a little bit differently. I mean, most of the stuff that happened in the playoffs last year that was detrimental to the Grizzlies, besides Ja getting hurt, was Dylan Brooks doing something stupid. Like when he pushed Steph out of bounds, like that was dumb. He injured GP, and now he's in Portland. At least he got a ring out of it. That menace. But other than that, I don't know why people hate on Ja. I don't know. You can't hate on Ja. You can't hate on Jaren Jackson. If you listen to Jaren Jackson talk, you can't hate on him. He sounds like a professional business scholar. Like he sounds like he sounds like his head was on straight throughout middle school, high school, into college. Ja, on the other hand, does he sound like a underground Memphis rapper? Yeah, but he's still Ja Morant. Like, come on now, stop the hate, bro. Just stop the hate, please.
Z will always make fun of Dylan Brooks. But moving on to another buy sell hold. James Harden through 3 games is 26, 9, and 8 on 46, 31, 95. Buy, sell, or hold. Saney. Z, you go. Well, he has time to think.
I'm buying. And if that comes back to bite me in the butt, I don't care. I'll just punch myself in the face.
I'm
buying.
I'm gonna, because I assume the same for John Moran.
Where
I'll
did the
buy.
punch come from?
I'll buy.
Because the reason is, right, you just listed all those fantastic stats. And here's the thing, for as much slack that I give James Harden when the moment comes and he brings it upon himself, like the playoffs and things like that, it's like this season going forward, I am just, like we talked about before, I'm so high on not just Harden, but Philly as with the way that team's constructed. And I just feel like Harden with the foul baiting and things like that. Like last season, he like that stuff came to light really early on. A lot of people thought that a lot of players are going to get affected by it, but it seemed like James Harden was affected the most out of it, which was everybody's like opinion moving going into it. But looking at future success and the fact that James Harden isn't getting any younger and the fact that Joel Embiid in the process is right there in front of him, I just think, and the fact that the Eastern Conference is also still low-key kind of up for grabs. If there's any team that I'm like certain on that I'm like, yeah, they're going to the conference finals, it's the Bucks. And then after that, it's the Celtics. But after that, it's Philly. Because I'm like, okay, well, if something goes wrong, I just feel like James Harden and Joel Embiid
There's a lot of
should
talented teams,
right?
yes.
And for me, I'm like, okay, I feel like James Harden being the all-time great that he is right now is going to probably look back and be like, you know what? I need to stop doing this facet of the game, foul baiting and things like that. I can distribute. I can still score. I can still shoot free throws. All of them matter. Like last night, he had 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 12 assists, and he shot 18 shots, and he shot 4 free throws. So you mean to tell me that on a normal night, if he gets to 12 free throws like Joel Embiid did, then they probably win that game. But why didn't he get to the line? Because he probably was foul baiting. As you can literally look back on the game footage, he was foul baiting. Probably he was. So I just feel like once James locks into that mentality of like, you know what? I got a lot of talent that I don't want to go to waste this year. We got a lot of people knocking on the door to get to the finals. We just saw Boston go off of Chris Middleton, not being able to play, but they still were able to put their foot in the door and just go, right? So I'm just saying, I want to buy in. I want to. And I'm trying to. So I'm just going to be like, you know what? Screw it. I'm in. If he fails me again.
Well, there's also a hold option. You could say I'm not ready yet.
What was the hold option again? That was the hold option.
It was like if you're not ready to buy or sell, you'll whatever. Wait,
the only reason I would take the hold is because they're 0-3.
Yeah.
So
I was
I'll
say
take
I'm leaning more towards hold, but at the same time,
I'm buying because the stock is low. Because if we're treating it like stocks, then it's low because they're 0-3, and like you said, they're playing like trash.
Well, well, for the sake of James Harden, his stock is very high right now. People are
sure.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Okay. I think I'd be leaning more towards sell on him. I had a hot take in the offseason saying that James Harden could be MVP if the Sixers had a great record and Embiid goes down and only plays 45, 50 games. Because I think they have the roster to keep afloat with Harden at the helm without Embiid.
And Harden's proved that he can keep any team at the helm.
Yes. But my issue with Harden so far is he's had great shooting nights from the perimeter. But aside from the foul baiting, I haven't seen much finishing. And that's where you're going to get your base points. That's where you're going to get, 15, 16 points a night. Then, rain a couple threes. But I think there's going to be a lot of games where he has 10, 15 points because the only shots he's taking are those, either a catch and shooter on the perimeter trying to ISO someone because the offense is stalled out because they have the 30th pace in the league. So I'd like to say, wait till they get figured out and Embiid gets back in shape, the pace picks up. At the same time, I think that he's not going to be looked like he is right now for the rest of the year. There's a chance, and I hope so. But until he shows me that he's willing to attack and pick the Sixers up on his back, because he knows what he needs to do to win. He's been in those situations in the conference. Like Joel, I think Harden knows how to. He hasn't done it yet, but I think he knows what they need to do to win. He's in that kind of mindset. He brought in PJ. He knows what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Hoping for it, but I'd probably sell because his stock, I feel like right now, if you ask people in the NBA community, all-time high because they think he's vintage Harden. So I'd sell. But I hope he doesn't.
In that perspective, I
want to
agree.
buy.
In that perspective, I agree. I would sell as well.
But he's, looking much better. So now let's move on to his teammate, Joel Embiid. Through 3 games, 27, 13, 4, 45, 18, 77. Pretty awful defense.
Bye.
Sell, hold.
Bye. Because I think Joel is going to have a comeback this season. I don't think this is not the Joel Embiid we're going to see all season. I see no reason to why you would believe that this is the Joel Embiid we're going to see all season. Maybe he's just adjusting to his new teammates. Maybe they're running something new with PJ Tucker now on the court, and you have guys like Daniel House Jr., guys that are catered to Harden's old style of playing back in Houston. But I think that they're going to realize, you know what? Embiid's going to look at himself and be like, I gotta be that Twitter demon that I was last season and the season before, and just go back to playing the basketball we know Joel Embiid can play. So I would buy.
I'm buying too. The reason that I am buying is also because it's been 3 games, and I think that when I love Joel Embiid and I love his game. The only thing I don't love about it is the same thing that I don't love about Harden's game, and that's the foul baiting. So I think that there's going to come a time for the Philadelphia 76ers, and especially Doc Rivers, where they're going to look at how they've been playing and say, okay, well, something's got to change. This specific part of the offense, which isn't even a part of the offense, should change. And I feel like a lot of the plays that, like, the foul baiting is coming from, it's like you can automatically tell that that's exactly what either or are looking for. And specifically Joel Embiid in this instance, you're like, okay, if he's gonna face up, right? We were talking about that mid range earlier. He's facing up. I'm like, okay, if he's gonna shake right, he's looking to get the foul. But the difference between Joel and James Harden, I think, is a lot of teams just like with Joel, he's probably gonna get that and one because he's a great finisher around the rim for a big, right? And he's able to power through. And what you just said about James Harden not having that as a base, I think Joel Embiid already has. But at the same time,
well, that's why he's averaging 27.
Right. Because it's a base, it's like I know it's probably harder for him to go away from it, but it's like, bro, like you're losing these games, and it's because you're settling for it. And I think he's gonna realize it, and for the betterment of the team. He's going to be like, all right, cool. Let's try and play some sort of team basketball, something just a little bit differently. Tyrese Maxey getting him some more touches. PJ Tucker some more corner touches because Joel Embiid's drawing into things like that. Just normal basketball stuff. So I'm buying it.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy in on Joel too. Like Z said before, you gotta manifest it, and he was my MVP pick, and I want that pick to look good. So I'm gonna manifest it to turn around. We know from last year that the narrative shifts very quickly, and while you could have a first. Let's say this lasts for 2 months. You have a first 2 horrible months of basketball and still win MVP because it's all about recency bias, which I don't love because I know the thing with Steph when he turned up and he had whatever. I don't want to get into that, but he could definitely still win the award with looking bad early on. The next guy, he's in a poverty land right now. Saini omitted him before, but Tyrese Halliburton through 2 games, I believe, is 26, 10, and 4 on 50, 41, 95. He is cooking. So do we think buy, sell, or hold?
Buy.
Thank you.
Buy. This should not even be a question. And I apologize to Tyrese Halliburton.
I wanted to rave about him.
I apologize to Tyrese Halliburton to not mentioning him. The only reason I only mentioned Benedict and Jalen Smith is because they are on my fantasy team and they were the first names to pop up in my head. Tyrese, I know you're a bucket. I didn't even think I needed to mention the fact that you were a bucket. Bye.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to victory lap this whole Tyrese season on my TikTok because I did the top 10 point guards before the start of the season. And besides the Ja being over Trey thing, which even I don't think that's a huge block. I do think Tyrese was a top 10 point guard by the end of this year. I
think he's a top 10 point guard right now. I would take him over Chris Paul right now.
And people were saying, Fred VanVleet, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox looked nice, by the way. But Tyrese is him. Like I didn't tune into the whole Pacers game because I have other things to do than watch the Pacers. But I do have League Pass, and I watched the last 2 minutes because it was a close game, and that's what you do on League Pass. And it was them versus the Pistons. They're already up by 7 or 8, and let's say it's a minute and a half left. Tyrese gets a possession, lulls whoever it is, or Cade or Ivy to sleep. Like it must have been a 6-second size up. Like it was longer than usual. And then steps back, makes a high quality look. He doesn't force it. Like he keeps on going back and forth, almost like a Kevin Durant rhythm dribble, but just finds it. And he's so confident in his jump shot and his playmaking ability. Like the second he shot it, he turned around, screamed at the fans. Like he's all about his game, and he knows it. And the next possession, he got the ball back, and he pulled it from 5 feet behind the arc, like to ice it. He's
Love it.
just such a
Love it.
killer. He was all about bringing Sacramento back to relevancy. One of the worst trades I've seen in my life. Even though Fox is balling, but like Tyrese was, what are they doing in Sacramento, man?
We played them tonight.
But
the Kings.
I would buy 1 million of his stock. He is really, really good. And I cannot wait to victory lap that on my TikTok when he averages like 24 and 10 on the season. All right. I have a few more if we have the time. Starting off.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that we are running a little.
So let's do last one.
Okay, and then we'll go into the Q&A.
The last one, the Boston Celtics as a team. Buy, sell, hold.
Hell yeah. I'm buying.
I would buy just because Rob Will is out and they still look great. Like, the addition of Rob Will is only going to make them look better. I think that they're really, that finals loss, they're taking personal, which is what you want to see. They look good. I like them. I mean, to be honest, I've only watched one Boston game this season. It was the Philly-Boston season opener.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously I look at the recap of games every day. I like them. I think yes. And also shout out JJ. I know he's biased, but like he makes videos on the Celtics all the time, right? So I'll watch his like recaps and stuff of the game, and he'll always like post updates on his story. I like them. I buy. I mean,
I'm a fan.
My opinion is really coming from JJ's videos, so please forgive me if JJ is just super biased. Obviously every man is biased.
They did beat the Magic last night.
Yeah.
And
it was by like 4 or 6.
But I would hold on them. I would
buy because they're low due to Rob Will being out. Like they get better.
No, I think their stock is. I think they're super high.
Their stock is going to go higher. Then, if you think it's going to be even higher because Rob Will is out. Like that's why I would buy because I think that stock has potential to keep raising.
Long term, I'm buying, but within the next 20 games, I would.
I'm really treating this like a stock.
All right, buy.
I'm really treating this like a stock. That's on me.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy, and it's mainly because I feel like every season since these two individuals have been in the league, there's been the discussion of like who to keep, who to let go, blah 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 blah. Who's better? Yeah. Who's the franchise? Whatever. Jason Tatum has been balling in these 3 games, and I mean like I had a feeling that he was gonna come into the season off of the finals loss because if you think about it, Tatum got the most blame. But that's, in my opinion, because he was the one that everybody was expecting to deliver the championship or whatever. Like, everybody was banking on Jason Tatum, which is why he's better than Jaylen Brown. But anyway, I feel like he's been hooping. He's been going crazy. And to Sandy's point, Robert Williams is not there. Robert Williams changes the entire flow of this team with his defense. So I'm like, and we saw it in the playoffs. Like, if you're an opposing team, you can't even go inside. Steph Curry was getting blocked every single time he drove in damn near when Robert Williams was there in the finals. And Jaylen Brown's also been hooping. I'm going to give him his props as well, give him his flowers. But through the first 3 games, with another addition, Malcolm Brogdon, right? We were looking to see how he was going to be doing. He's been averaging 12, 4 assists. He's been playing defense. His shot's been looking kind of iffy, but I mean he's been doing pretty solid so far through the first 3 games. I just feel like the team, even Blake Griffin's been going out there and doing some great things.
I was about to say Blake Griffin is probably the most underrated dirty work guy in the league. Yeah. You think of him as just a washed up dunker, but there's a stat saying in much less games than everyone else, less minutes than everyone else, he still led the league in charges taken last year. I think he's a true Celtic, even though he looks awful in the uniform and it just looks really weird. It looks really weird, but he's
what is he making? He's making like $2 million, right?
Yeah, we got to move on though.
You got to pay that baby somehow. Mm-hmm. Child support.
Okay. Well, our last segment is the Q&A.
The Q&A. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the most must-see part of the entire freaking show. And I don't have the script in front of me, so I'm literally doing this off of a whim, and I hope I get it right. But this is the Q&A, where we get into the nastiest, the juiciest, the spiciest, moments from the show that you guys send in with your questions. So, our first question today is from an OG, Yasoy, 1738, baby, something like that. If the NBA were to become an animated show, which teams of each era would be presented as the main antagonist. So, for reference, I'm going to go ahead and give you the first one. If this is the 1980s, it's obviously the bad boy Pistons as they try to murder people. If it's the 90s, I'd say probably Knicks, maybe because the Bulls were just that dominant globally as a powerhouse.
Do you think so? I want to hear. Let's do your errors. I want to see your definition of antagonist.
So in 90s, I'm gonna say Knicks. 2000s, one of our viewers, Connors, put for the Spurs. I'm just like I don't really know. Maybe I don't know. But for the 2010s, it's definitely the Warriors because of Kevin Durant joining. So when I'm looking at antagonists, right, I'm looking at it like what teams have been presented, right? You have the established order. I'm going to quote the Joker. Love you, Heath Ledger. Rest in peace. You have the established order. Which teams, if you're an antagonist, you are somebody that is going to upset the established order, as the Pistons did in the 80s, right? With Showtime Lakers. You get it, right?
Yeah.
The Knicks with the Bulls, the same exact way. The Bulls were dominant, but the one person that was standing in the way was the Knicks because they were so physical. The Spurs, honestly, it was the Lakers and the Spurs, but you can honestly maybe say Detroit, like the Pistons for
no, they're some of the craziest heroes of all time.
So I don't know who would it be. Like
I think
I don't want to say the Spurs.
It's gonna be for me. The 80s is the Pistons. Right. The 90s is the Bulls. They were not the heroes at all. They ripped away every chance at any other star. Bro, if it wasn't for the Bulls, if it wasn't for the Bulls, the all-time ranking list would be completely different. There would be so many superstars that never got a ring that would have one.
You're right.
For the 2000s, I'd say the Lakers. They won 5 of the 10. They ripped away, and Kobe and Shaq together were a menace. Kobe was a menace to the media. Like
Shaq is just a generational villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I'm gonna go Lakers.
And the 2010s, I would say, I mean, you could argue with me on this. I would honestly say the Miami Heat. Because they started that big three from 2010 to 2014.
The LeBron D-Wade Bosh was a serious villain arc. I think you should split it in half, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's either the Heat or the Warriors. I think you could go either way. You could go either way. You could go either way.
Both. I think it's both. I think the worst villains are the Warriors. Right. I do think the worst villains are the Warriors, but the Heat are very.
But the Heat started. They were like
it's lost in memory.
Yeah,
I do think
people do not remember how much the Heat would get ripped up in the media for the fact that they're like cheating.
Especially after 2011.
Like by the time it happened with Kevin Durant, like let's be honest, we were used to the idea of super teams. Even though I don't think the Heat were the first super team, they were the first team to really get bashed in the media for being a super team.
Especially how I might actually take the Heat over the Warriors because when they first were together and against Dirk when they mocked his flu,
that is
such a storyline. And I think I might take the Heat.
I was a mad LeBron fan back then too. So when he did that, I tried to justify it. I was like, no, he didn't make fun of him. Like, no,
even just because Dirk was like the hero of probably the biggest hero of the decade.
Like the Warriors were just villains because they were good. They didn't actually do anything like villainy.
LeBron actually had a villain arc. That's a really good story. Actually,
this is actually a good question. I like this. Here's my thing, right? I want to be able to split the thing too because I can totally see your point for the Heat that they did get bashed. The decision was like, they got critically bashed. And I remember specifically after 2011 how much they still got hated on because Dirk saved the day for the league, for the world, whatever. The Warriors, on the other hand, are different because I just remember the date specifically. July 4th, 2016 is a day that will live in infamy amongst NBA fans, especially of this generation because, like you guys said, everybody knew the Warriors were going to win, but that's why I think that they were the antagonists. You remember the Bleacher Report videos where they had cartoon versions of them, and Steph was sitting like at the end of the table, and Kevin Durant, and they all had like these big ass hoods on, and they were just like, yes, we're taking over the league, yes, we're going to be dominant, yes. That's
Bleacher Report. But that's Bleacher Report making them out to
right.
LeBron made himself out to be a villain because he was just he goes.
But you got to think about it like this. LeBron's hero story got revitalized when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors because then everybody was like, well, damn, LeBron's like Thanos, Iron Man, Batman, Deadpool, every Avenger, every superhero to beat this freaking dynasty. Like, I don't know. I can see both ways. I would just say my personal pick would be the Warriors because of the internet freaking broke.
My personal opinion is the Heat because that was the first time where like ever since I started watching basketball, where like the media, where I really saw like I experienced the media really go at one player.
Okay,
Like I don't
fair.
think people remember like LeBron James was what Russell Westbrook is to the media right now. Like 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
You're
Not
right.
in the same
You're
sense
right.
where
You're
like,
right.
oh, he's playing like trash, screw him. But like when he played like garbage in the 2011 finals, I have never seen a player get bashed like that. Like LeBron used to get hated on, man. Like those like generic memes where it's like top text here, bottom text here. The amount of like crying LeBron faces with those type of memes I've seen all over Facebook as a kid, where it's just like it's just making fun of him cramping up in a finals game, or just like making fun of him going
I
bad
remember
against the
those, yeah.
Mavericks, or all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, where it's just like, bro, LeBron got dragged through the media. So that's why I would personally take the Heat.
The last thing, so even if we have to cut down on a couple other questions, I think it would be really cool to do this one. If we're projecting into the 2020s, what team do you think would be the feature villain or teams?
The Grizzlies. The Grizzlies.
I was about to
The
say
Grizzlies, yep.
Ja.
The
Ja
Grizzlies.
would make a killer
Grizzlies.
villain.
For sure.
The Grizzlies.
And I'm here
killer
for it.
villain.
I am here for it. And you hear
Dylan
I'm
Brooks.
here for it. I'm here for it. I'm so
Who's
here
the
for
hero?
it. The hero is probably going to be the Warriors when they
It's gonna be
dethrone
Luka.
them. We're probably going to
It's
see.
gonna be
Luka.
We're probably going to see, and I'm banking on this. I'm damn near manifesting it, but I can just see this go. The Warriors dynasty right now just hit the rails, right? After Draymond Green chin check Jordan Poole into the next universe, right? That is where the rails are starting to the wheels are starting to kind of fall off. At least that wheel specifically. The Draymond wheel is just teetering. They're bringing in Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole. Steph's getting older. Clay's getting older. The big three's getting older. They're going to be transitioning into this new one. When that big three is on their last damn leg, I'm telling you, the team that's going to be matched up against them that's going to beat them is the Grizzlies. I can
It
see
makes
it.
too much sense.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense.
Let's only do one more question though, because I don't want to pass that hour mark.
I got you. The last question is going to come from military grade military grade something that I can't say. From the chalkboard. It says, simply, favorite jersey of all time. And I wanted to do this one because we did do something like this similarly, I think, like 6 months ago. I don't remember what podcast it was, but me and Hoop, we were in it. I think Sandy was also in it. It was, and we did it, yeah. So I'm going to say, for me personally, the purple, the Raptors jerseys, the Vince Carter one, right, with the Barney?
Yeah.
That one.
My favorite jersey is literally nobody else's favorite jersey in existence, and it's the from 2009 to 2017 Oklahoma blue kit, like just the Oklahoma City Thunder, because that was the jersey that made me fall in love with the game. Like that was the first game I ever watched with them wearing those jerseys, so it's just like a sentimental thing to me, and I have so many of them obviously. So my favorite jersey is the blue Oklahoma, but that's not the clean. Like there's a difference. There's a favorite jersey and the cleanest jersey. It's not my cleanest, but it's my favorite.
This one's low-key my favorite too because I'm on it. Literally, the back of this says Huncho. So yeah.
But yeah, that's mine.
I was always a big fan of the jersey I always wanted as a kid was the St. Patty's Day Knicks. But in terms of design and cleanness, I love the baby blue Clippers jerseys they had recently. I think it was last year's City. I have the Paul George one. Love those. The Miami Heat whiteout. I'm just trying to think of some underrated ones.
If you're talking about the whiteout, the Oklahoma whiteout, it's behind me, is really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their court to match it was awesome.
Yeah.
So. But yeah.
I like it.
Also, last thing, going back to the whole villain thing, I wasn't gonna say it because I didn't want to provoke a reaction. Oh, it's never gonna happen. But if Zion and RJ and Cam were to all team up in New York, would they be the villains or the heroes?
Depends.
If it were to happen.
Depends on
They'd
what.
either be the.
I think they'd be the heroes because RJ's not like a superstar. Zion is the only one that can really.
RJ's also very likable.
Yeah, and Zion, like if they were all for example, they didn't play together in Duke, but Bosh, Wade, and LeBron, they all drafted same year, right? And then they all became all-stars / superstars in their own way. And then when they joined, it was all right, chill out. Come on, you guys are three of the best talents in the league. I don't see Cam Reddish and RJ tapping into that top 15, top 20 player conversation.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't see them as
Zion
villains.
with RJ.
Yeah,
and Cam.
it would be the narrative would be Zion is playing with RJ and Cam, not RJ, Cam, and Zion are playing together.
Oh no, I feel like it might.
No,
be
I think it would be they're playing together only because.
Oh, because of Duke. You're right. I'm speaking in
Duke,
terms of the players, how good they are, not their background. So you're right.
Yeah.
That would be sick though, because like
They would-
Cam
they
had a
would
really
definitely
good
be the-
opening
They would be
night.
really
If-
good chemistry-wise.
They would
They
be
would-
the heroes. They
If
would be the
Zion
heroes.
taps into some defense, that could be one of the most exciting teams.
But I
in the
think
league.
that's about it. That's all we have for today. This was a good episode. If you're YouTube watching, I know we have the old layout now. There were some technical problems, but we're gonna go back to the original setup. We wanted to record because we've been a few bumps in the road, obviously, and we wanted to get an episode out. But thank you for listening. Episode 22 on the way, and we hope you have a great day. Peace.